Hey, Jeremy here with you again, and here to continue how to read and write Arabic script part 2. Now last time we ended with the Z letter, now we have the S. This makes a S sound, equivalent to the English S. And you'll see here it makes 3 little bumps. However, in script, this is way too pedantic and a little bit confusing because you have so many other bumps, for the B or for the ta. So rather, what they do when they write it is just make a line and think, oh boy, how am I supposed to recognize that? Well, any sort of long space essentially becomes an S. And also this tick at the beginning helps tell you that this is an S sound. In the middle of the word, it's just a line, and at the end of the word, like so, S. The next letter is a sh, equivalent to the English SH. And like the th, which also has 3 dots written with a little hat, the sh also has a hat. Sh, sh, sh. Now, this consonant is the first of 4 what's called velar consonants. In English, we have one velar consonant, and it's our L. So if you think about the word little, linguists distinguish actually 2 phonemes here. You have a typical sort of la that you have in most European languages and Spanish and so on. But then you have this other L, o. And it's really helpful to think about that sound when you're trying to make these 4 other velar sounds. So this is a velar S. So la for L, and then sol, la, sol. It's in the same position of your mouth. And the way that we write this, one point that needs to be made is that this little tick right here is important. Actually, the old way that this was written was like that. And so the way it's written today, you have this little tick there to simulate that. That's an important part of it. Some new students think that will confuse that little tick as though it needs a dot either below or above, but no, it's part of the letter, and it makes a saw sound. The next letter is a velar D. Do. Remember, think of that L, do. And Arabs are quite proud of this letter. In fact, some people call their language lugat al-dad, which means the language of do, of this sound. And it's written the same way as the sod, but you put a dot above. So, by the way, in the middle of a word, it's written like this. And at the end, that little tick becomes part of the tail. I should also say about the dod that in dialect it's often made fricative, so it's like a th. That would not be incorrect to say the word that way. Now, this is a velar T. Do. And it is written like this. Notice that this does not have a tail like its brothers. When it ends a word, you just stop. Our final velar consonant is the equivalent of the thal. It makes a the sound, but this is velar. The. And just put a dot above, and that's how you write that. Now, do you remember the h sound I told you about? Deep in your throat, contracting muscles that you use when you swallow. Well, this is the cousin of it. This is voiceless, and this is voiced. So if you think about this, you want to now voice it with your voice box and say, ah. And you can actually switch between the two without changing anything except that voice, like the S and the Z. So you go, ah. Now, I'm sure that sounds totally ridiculous to an American ear, but in Arabic, it is everywhere. You're going to be saying this all the time. I can't imagine one sentence without this sound. Ah. And likewise, remember the one with the dot? We said it was a ch, a little bit higher. Well, this is, again, voiceless, and this is the voiced version of that. Sort of like you're gargling. I forgot to mention how to write this letter. It's pretty much the same as how you see it here. That for and then for the just without the dot. When it's in the middle of a word, you want to, you sort of make an upside down triangle, like that. However, when you do it quick, it sort of rounds out and it's not that clear. Some Arabs even just make a circle, which is not clear at all. So you want to make it a little pointed. And then when it ends a word, just put a tail on the end. And that's the end of part 1. Stay tuned for, part 2. Stay tuned for part 3.